Why, God wants you to be alone. Being alone isn't a curse, it's the proving ground. God isolates the ones he's preparing. If you're alone right now, it's not weakness. It's a sign you're being built, you're being sharpened. You're being prepared to walk a path others can't. Embrace it, own it, become unstoppable in it. Silence exposes the truth. Silence is terrifying for most people. You know why? Because when the noise dies down, when the phones stop buzzing, when the fake friends disappear, and when the world stops distracting you with dopamine hits, you're left with the only person that can't lie to you. Yourself. That silence is like a mirror, and you can't break it, you can't mute it, you can't drown it out forever. When God pulls you into solitude, he's not doing it to punish you. He's doing it to expose the truth that you've been running from your entire life. Most people don't want to be alone because they don't want to hear the voice in the back of their head. That voice that says, you're not living up to your potential, you're wasting time, you're softer than you know you should be. That voice isn't your enemy. That's truth. That's the raw, unfiltered feedback of your soul. The problem is, you've been drowning it out with noise, television, social media, constant company, fake validation. You surround yourself with people because you want them to tell you you're fine. But silence doesn't lie. Silence doesn't pat you on the back. Silence points to the gap between who you are and who you know you're supposed to be. And here's the thing. You can run from people, you can block them, you can ghost them, you can avoid them. But you cannot outrun yourself. You carry that truth into every room, every relationship, every fake smile. And eventually, God gets tired of watching you avoid it. That's when he strips away the noise, isolates you, and sits you down in the silence. Why? Because in that silence, you either face yourself or you break. And if you break, it's because you weren't willing to face what's real. Think about it. Every great transformation, every breakthrough, every warrior that ever rose above the average, it started in silence. It started when the world fell away, when no one was clapping, when nobody cared, and when that person looked in the mirror and said, enough. That's what silence does. It's not a punishment, it's a wake-up call. Here's the brutal truth. You've been lying to yourself. You've been pretending you're grinding hard, pretending you're disciplined, pretending you're tough. But when you're alone, none of that performance matters. It's just you and the facts. Are you actually putting in the work? Are you actually pushing your limits? Or are you comfortable playing the role of someone who looks like they're working hard, while deep down you know you're soft? Silence takes the mask off. Silence exposes the fraud. Now, a lot of people crumble when silence exposes them. They feel shame, they spiral, they go looking for distractions again, desperate for anything that hides the truth. But that's not why God put you in solitude. He put you there so you could stop running and start rebuilding. When you finally sit in that silence long enough, when you finally get tired of your own excuses, when you finally accept that the truth hurts but it's necessary, that's when change happens. That's when you stop being fake and start becoming real. The silence is your ally if you learn to use it. That voice pointing out your flaws, that's direction. That's the map to your better self. You're not supposed to mute it. You're supposed to listen to it, embrace it, and then do something about it. Silence is God's way of saying, it's time to face the truth because the truth will set you free. So stop fearing solitude. Stop running from silence. That emptiness you feel when you're alone, that's the raw material. That's the starting point of your evolution. Every rep you do, every mile you run, every page you study, every step you take toward growth, it starts with silence exposing the truth. And once you face it, once you stop lying to yourself, once you embrace the discomfort, you'll realize solitude wasn't punishment. It was the foundation of your strength. Because silence doesn't just expose the truth. It builds the kind of person who can handle it. Isolation builds armor. People think being alone means weakness. They think if you're isolated, you've been abandoned, rejected, or forgotten. That mindset is soft. The truth, isolation is not weakness. It's the forge. It's the fire that melts down the old version of you and hardens you into someone unbreakable. God doesn't throw you into solitude because He's punishing you. He throws you in there because He's stripping away the comfort, the crutches, and the fake support so He can build you into steel. Think about it. When you're surrounded by people, you lean on them, you depend on them. You expect them to catch you when you fall, but when you're alone, nobody's coming, nobody's going to save you, and that's exactly why isolation is necessary. When you realize it's you versus everything, you find out what you're really made of. That pressure, that loneliness, that emptiness you feel, it's the same pressure that turns coal into diamonds. It's the hammer and the fire that forge the blade. The strongest armor doesn't come from easy living. It comes from being tested, from being slammed against the anvil of pain, from being pounded by disappointment and betrayal. Every moment you spend in isolation is a strike of that hammer. Every night you spend feeling forgotten. Every morning you wake up with no one cheering. Every step you take in silence. It's building layers of armor you didn't even know you had. Armor that doesn't crack under rejection. Armor that doesn't dent when life hits you. Armor that can take the blows that would shatter an ordinary person. Most people don't last in isolation. They need constant validation. They need the likes, the messages, the fake friends hyping them up. Without it, they crumble. But the ones who embrace isolation, who lean into it, who let it do its work, those are the ones who become unshakable. Because once you've trained yourself to stand alone, nobody can threaten you with abandonment. Once you've learned to feed yourself with your own fire, nobody can starve you by walking away. Once you've built that armor in solitude, the world can't penetrate it. And let's be real, the world is going to test you. People will betray you, friends will disappear, opportunities will collapse, life will hit harder than you thought possible. If you don't have armor, you'll break. But if you've been forged in isolation, if you've built resilience when nobody was around, if you've endured the loneliness and turned it into strength, then nothing outside of you can stop you. God knows this. That's why He isolates you. He's saying, you're not ready yet. You think you are, but you're not. You're too soft. You still rely on others too much. You still crave applause. I need you to go through the fire alone, so when it's time to step into your calling, you're indestructible. That's the real reason for your solitude. You're being armed, you're being armored, you're being turned into a weapon, and here's the beauty of it. Once you've gone through that, you stop fearing isolation. You stop seeing it as loneliness. You start seeing it as training. Every setback, every betrayal, every moment of solitude becomes fuel. You start welcoming it because you know every time you're forced into silence, your armor gets thicker, your fire gets hotter, your edge gets sharper. So stop whining about being alone. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Stop begging for someone to notice you, to validate you, to make you feel important. That's weakness. Instead, embrace it. Let isolation do its work. Every minute you spend alone is another layer of protection being built. Every lonely night is another hammer strike shaping your steel. Every tear you shed in silence is another drop of fuel making you stronger. Because one day you're going to walk out of that forge, and when you do, the world won't recognize you. The same people who overlooked you will wonder how you became so unshakable. The same people who doubted you will realize their words can't touch you. The same world that tried to break you will find you unbreakable. Isolation doesn't make you weaker. It makes you bulletproof, and that's why God wants you alone, because He's not interested in keeping you comfortable. He's interested in making you unstoppable. Pain sharpens purpose. Pain is the one teacher you can't cheat. You can fake effort in front of people, you can put on a mask in front of the world, but pain doesn't care about your image. Pain cuts through all your lies and forces you to face reality. And when God puts you alone, He doesn't do it so you can be comfortable. He does it so pain can sharpen you into who you were meant to be. Most people treat pain like it's the enemy. They run from it, hide from it, medicate it, numb it, and drown it out with distractions. That's why they stay weak. Pain isn't there to destroy you. It's there to refine you. It's the scalpel in the surgeon's hand. It cuts deep, it hurts, but it's cutting out the parts of you that don't belong. The laziness, the weakness, the entitlement, the self-pity. Pain is the process that shapes purpose. Without it, you'd stay average, soft, and unprepared. Here's the truth, pain and purpose are inseparable. You don't get one without the other. You think you want the mission, the calling, the destiny God has for you, but you're not built for it yet. You're still fragile, you're still craving approval, you're still folding under pressure. So what does God do? He isolates you. He removes the noise, and then He lets pain become your teacher. Every setback, every rejection, every lonely night, it's sharpening you. It's molding you into someone who can carry the weight of your purpose, because purpose isn't light. Purpose is heavy. It demands sacrifice. It demands endurance. It demands resilience, and you don't get those qualities by living comfortable. You get them by suffering. You get them by bleeding. You get them by surviving what you thought would kill you. That's why pain is necessary. Without it, your purpose would crush you the moment it landed on your shoulders. Think about a blade. A dull blade is useless, but you don't sharpen steel with silk. You sharpen steel with friction, with pressure, with grinding. The sparks fly, the heat builds, the edge takes shape. That's your life in solitude. God is sharpening you with pain. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every disappointment, it's friction. Every lonely night when you thought nobody cared, it's grinding. Every tear, every scar, every moment of despair, it's heat. And when the process is done, you don't come out dull. You come out razor sharp, but here's where most people fail. They don't stay in the process long enough. They quit when it hurts. They run back to comfort. They start begging for company, for validation, for someone to take the pain away. And when they do, they rob themselves of the sharpening. They stay dull, they stay soft, and their purpose passes them by because they weren't willing to endure the fire that would have made them ready. You can't shortcut pain. You can't pray it away, wish it away, or bargain it away. You can only face it, endure it, and let it shape you. And when you do, you realize something powerful. Pain isn't the enemy. Pain is the ally. Pain is the mentor. Pain is the fire that burns away who you were so you can become who you were meant to be. And the moment you embrace that, everything changes. Instead of avoiding pain, you start seeking it. Instead of crying about the struggle, you start respecting it. Instead of asking, why me, you start saying, try me, because you understand every ounce of pain you endure is sharpening you for the purpose you were born for. So don't curse the pain. Don't resent the solitude. Don't mistake the struggle for abandonment. It's the opposite. God hasn't forgotten you. He's preparing you. The pain you're feeling right now is proof that He's shaping you into someone who can carry something greater. That purpose you've been praying for, dreaming about, aching for, it requires the version of you that pain is creating, so embrace it, sit in it, let it cut you, let it grind you, let it burn you, because when it's done, you won't just have survived, you'll be sharpened. You'll be dangerous, you'll be ready, and you'll realize the pain wasn't there to kill you. It was there to give you purpose. Discipline is born in solitude. Discipline isn't something you stumble into. It's not something you can fake, not something you can post about, not something you can borrow from someone else. Discipline is earned in the shadows. Discipline is born in solitude. That's why God isolates you. Because when there's no one watching, no audience clapping, no partner pushing, You find out if you're truly built for this or if you've just been acting tough in front of the crowd. Most people only work hard when eyes are on them. They train when the coach is yelling. They hustle when someone's checking. They grind only if someone's approving, but take away the audience and what's left, weakness, comfort, excuses. That's why solitude is so necessary. Alone, you can't hide behind anybody else's energy. Alone, you can't blame anyone for your failures. Alone, it's just you and the choice. Do I push or do I fold? Discipline doesn't grow in comfort. Discipline grows when you force yourself to do the thing you don't want to do, day after day, when no one is watching. That's why solitude is the perfect training ground. Nobody is coming to wake you up. Nobody is going to hold your hand. Nobody is going to applaud your effort. It's just you, and in that space you either build discipline or you get exposed. Think about the strongest warriors, the most relentless champions, the people who actually live at the top of their potential. They weren't created in crowds. They weren't built in front of cameras. They were forged alone. Long before the world saw their greatness, they were putting in reps in silence, running miles with no one cheering, studying when nobody cared, bleeding in the dark while nobody was watching. That's why they're unshakable, because their discipline isn't fake. It isn't performative. It's rooted in solitude. The problem with most people is they're addicted to accountability. They need someone to check on them. They need a workout partner to show up. They need a boss to demand results. They need a crowd to hype them. That's weakness. True discipline is self-generated. It's waking yourself up when it would be easier to sleep. It's putting in work when nobody will ever know. It's doing the hard thing not for validation, not for applause, but because it's who you are. And solitude forces you into that truth. Alone, you can't fake it. Alone, you either get up or you don't. You either put in the reps or you quit. That's why solitude is a gift, because it reveals whether you've been living on borrowed discipline or if you've actually built your own. And if you haven't, good, that's the moment you start. This is where most people break. They can't handle the silence. They want company. They want someone to drag them. They want someone to push them. But God says, no, not this time. This one you've got to do yourself. Because He knows your destiny is too big to depend on others. Your mission requires a backbone, not a crutch. And the only way to build that backbone is through discipline born in solitude. Here's the truth. If you can't train when nobody is watching, you'll never be great when everyone is watching. If you can't master the small disciplines alone, you'll fold when the big tests come in public. Discipline built in solitude is the only discipline that lasts. Because when you've taught yourself to grind in silence, the noise of the world doesn't control you anymore. You don't need applause. You don't need accountability. You've become your own machine. That's what solitude builds: self-sufficiency, consistency, relentless drive. And once you've mastered it, you're unstoppable. Because no matter where you are, no matter who's around or who's missing, you'll do the work. Alone in a room, you'll do it. In front of a crowd, you'll do it. Betrayed, abandoned, celebrated, ignored. It doesn't matter. The discipline is inside you, and nothing external can take it away. So stop complaining about being alone. Stop begging for company. Stop waiting for someone to motivate you. That's weakness. Solitude is your training ground. Discipline is your weapon. And the day you learn to master yourself in silence is the day you become unstoppable in the noise. Because discipline isn't born in comfort. It isn't born in company. It's born in the quiet grind of solitude. And that's why God wants you alone. Because He's building a version of you that doesn't need the world to move forward. Alone means chosen, not abandoned. Here's the truth most people miss. Being alone doesn't mean you've been abandoned. It means you've been chosen. The world tells you solitude is rejection. The world makes you believe that if people walk away, if doors close, if nobody shows up, you've been forgotten. But that's a lie. If you're alone right now, it's not because you're unworthy. It's because you've been set apart. God doesn't waste solitude on the unimportant. He saves it for the ones he's preparing to carry weight that others can't. Stop confusing separation with abandonment. They are not the same thing. Abandonment says you're unwanted. Separation says you're set apart for something greater. You don't train diamonds in the same pile with rocks. You don't mold warriors in the comfort of the crowd. You take them out, you isolate them, and you forge them in private. That's what's happening to you. You're not being punished. You're being prepared, but here's the problem. Most people don't see it that way. They get bitter, they get resentful. They start asking, why me? Why am I alone? Why does it feel like nobody cares? And they miss the point. The very reason you're alone is because God sees something in you that others don't. You're being stripped away from the noise, the distractions, the mediocrity, so you can be built into someone rare. Think about it. The people you admire, the ones who rise above, the ones who stand unshaken, they weren't built in crowds. They weren't formed in comfort. They were separated. They were hidden. They were put through seasons of solitude so they could be trained without interference. That's exactly what's happening to you. You're not being left behind. You're being set apart, and that's why you have to shift your perspective. Stop crying about who left you. Stop obsessing over who doesn't support you. Stop begging for company in a season where you're supposed to be alone. If God removed them, it's because they weren't supposed to walk with you. If doors closed, it's because those doors would have kept you stuck. If people turned their back on you, it's because their weight couldn't survive where you're headed. Being alone is not a curse, it's confirmation. It means you're being trusted with a bigger mission, and let me be clear, God doesn't assign big missions to weak shoulders. He assigns them to the ones he separates, the ones he trains in silence, the ones he knows can carry it. That's you. You may not feel ready, but that's why you're in solitude. You're being shaped. You're being toughened. You're being equipped. And when the time comes, when you're unleashed, when your purpose is revealed, you'll understand why you had to be alone. Because crowds don't create leaders. Crowds create followers. Leaders are built in isolation. Warriors are sharpened in solitude, and chosen ones are always separated before they're elevated. So don't waste this season by whining about it. Don't waste it by chasing company that was never meant to go where you're going. Embrace it, use it, grow in it, because the truth is, if you can't handle being chosen in solitude, you'll never handle being chosen in the spotlight. If you can't survive the silence, you'll crumble in the noise. Understand this, being alone is not rejection, it's selection. It's not abandonment, it's alignment. It's not weakness, it's a weapon. The moment you realize that is the moment everything changes. You stop fearing solitude. You stop craving validation. You stop chasing what walked away. And you start walking forward with confidence, knowing that if God put you alone, it's because He's about to do something through you that nobody else could handle. So stand tall in your solitude, wear it like armor, embrace it like training, because you're not abandoned, you're chosen, and when the world finally sees you rise, they'll realize what you already knew. Solitude wasn't your punishment, it was your preparation. The battle within creates the victory outside. Every fight you'll ever face in the outside world starts with a battle inside your own head. That's why God pulls you away from the crowd, strips away the distractions, and leaves you alone. Because He knows the hardest war you'll ever fight isn't against enemies, critics, or obstacles. It's against yourself. And if you can't win that war in solitude, you'll never win anything outside of it. People think success comes from external victories. The job, the title, the applause, the money, the recognition. That's surface level. The real battle is internal. It's you versus laziness, you versus fear. You versus procrastination. You versus that voice in your head that whispers, quit. Take it easy. Nobody cares anyway. That voice is relentless. That voice never shuts up. And the only way to silence it is not with words, but with action. Action repeated over and over until you've built a warrior inside that refuses to fold. And that's why solitude matters. When you're alone, you're not performing for anyone. You're not being cheered on. You're not being watched. It's just you, the mirror, and that inner voice. That's where the real fight happens. Do you push through when no one is clapping? Do you grind when nobody notices? Do you discipline yourself when no one is holding you accountable? That's the internal war, and every rep you do, every mile you run, every page you study, every sacrifice you make, it's a strike against the weakness inside you. Here's the truth. Most people lose this battle before they ever step onto the battlefield of life. They fold in the silence, they quit in the solitude, they can't face their own reflection, so they distract themselves with noise, fake friends, and endless excuses. And because they never fought the internal war, they walk into the external world unprepared. That's why they break under pressure. That's why they crumble when life gets hard, because they never built the inner strength to carry them. God knows better. That's why He isolates you. He's saying, before I put you in front of the world, before I give you the weight of your purpose, you've got to win the battle inside. That's the real test, because if you conquer yourself, your fears, your laziness, your doubts, nothing outside of you can take you down. But if you can't control yourself, it doesn't matter what you accomplish outside. It'll all collapse because the foundation was weak. Winning the inner war means mastering your thoughts, your emotions, your habits. It means taking control instead of being controlled. It means teaching that weak voice inside you that it doesn't run the show anymore, and every moment of solitude is your battlefield to do it. That's why you're alone, not because you're forgotten, but because you're being trained in the most important fight of your life. And here's the payoff. Once you've fought and won inside, the outside becomes easy. External challenges don't break you because you've already been broken and rebuilt inside. Critics don't shake you because you've already silenced the loudest critic yourself. Rejection doesn't scare you because you've already learned to stand alone. Pressure doesn't crush you because you've carried heavier weight in silence. Understand this, the war inside will always be harder than the war outside. That's why God forces you into it, because He knows if you can win within, you can win anywhere. But if you lose within, you'll lose everywhere. So stop running from the silence, stop avoiding the solitude, stop fearing the inner war, step into it, fight it, bleed in it, because the more you battle inside, the more unshakable you become outside. Every victory over yourself builds a fortress no storm can destroy. Every win in solitude becomes a weapon in the world. That's why you're alone. That's why it hurts. That's why it feels like nobody understands. Because you're fighting the war that matters most, and when you win it, you won't just survive the world, you'll dominate it. So embrace the battle, face the mirror, crush the weakness, because the day you conquer yourself is the day the outside world can't touch you. And that's why God wants you alone, so He can make sure the warrior inside of you is ready to win every war outside. Alone is the forge of greatness. Being alone isn't a curse, it isn't abandonment, it isn't weakness. It's the forge where the strongest are built. Every second of silence, every ounce of pain, every battle you've fought inside yourself, it all had a purpose. God didn't pull you away from the crowd to punish you. He pulled you away to prepare you, to strip you down, to expose the lies, to harden your armor, to sharpen your edge, to break you in private so you could rise unbreakable in public. Aloneness is not rejection, it's selection. It's proof that you've been chosen to carry weight others can't. It's the battlefield where discipline is born, where pain transforms into purpose, where the inner war is fought and won. And when you step out of that solitude, you don't walk out the same. You walk out sharper, stronger, harder to kill, impossible to break. So stop running from being alone. Stop fearing it. Stop begging for the noise, the company, the validation. Embrace the silence. Embrace the grind. Embrace the inner war, because one day the world will see what was built in that solitude, and when they ask how you became unshakable, how you turned into a weapon, how you carried what they could not, you'll know the truth. It was the silence, it was the pain, it was the isolation, it was being alone,